All right, so we are going to calculate the work done by these objects, or work done by really the person on the objects. So here we go. First off, let's make sure we know our work formula. It's stated there, but we'll say it anyways. It is going to be force times distance times the cosine of the angle. So I'm going to write it up here. Force times distance times the cosine of whatever angle there is, right? Force, distance, cosine. So let's look at the first one. We'll do force applied first. So first thing we need to know is the direction that it's going. So a 10 Newton force is applied to push a block across a frictionless surface with a displacement of 5 meters to the right. So it's going to the right. I'm going to go ahead and fill in my displacement. That's going to be the same for all of them, right? So 5, 5, 5, same displacement. They give us this. Normal force is 20 newtons. Applied force is 10. And force of gravity is 20 newtons. All right, so now we got to do our cosine. So think of it like this. You know what a circle is, right? The direction that it's going is going to be 0 degrees. The opposite direction it's going is going to be 180. So in this case, it's going to the right. So it's going to be 0, 180 is the opposite, and then 90, of course, negative 90. This will change depending on what direction it is going, right? And we'll cover that in just a second. So now we just do the math, which is going to be super easy. Actually, let's do the cosine. So for the normal force, that's the top, so that's going to be 90. For our applied force, that is the direction that it's going to the right, so that is going to be 0. And then for our force of gravity, that's going to be negative 90, right? So now we just plug that in. We're going to do 20 times 5 times cosine 90. If you have a TI Inspire, it should be the trig button. You'll hit trig and then cosine. So the top one, normal force, is going to give us 0 work done. The bottom one is 0 work done. And then the middle one, cosine of 0, is going to give us 50. So our total work done is 50 joules, and it's in joules, right? So let's do the next one. The next one sort of flips it on us just a little bit. So a 10 Newton frictional force slows down a moving block to stop along a horizontal surface after displacement of 5 meters. So I'm going to do my displacement. 5, 5, 5. Awesome. My normal force is 20. They gave it to us. My force of gravity is 20. And then my force of friction is 10. Cool. So now we just got to do the cosine. So the up and down cosine is still 90 and negative 90. So my normal force is 90. My gravitational force of gravity, is negative 90. And now we have the friction force. So this is where I switch it up a little bit. Remember I said the direction it's going is going to be 0 degrees. So the opposite direction, because that's going to make it positive, you push it, when you push it direction it's going, it's going to be a positive force. When you're sort of pulling it against the direction it's moving, that's a negative force, right? So that's going to be we're going to put cosine of 180. Because this is the force of friction. Remember they said they are moving to the right, whereas the force of friction is to the left. So let's do the math. Punch that in on your calculator. So we got 0. 0 work on that. 0 work on that. And then the force of friction, remember it's friction, so it's slowing it down. That should give you negative 50. So our final work should be negative 50. Cool. All right, so let's do C. Okay, same deal. We're going to punch all our stuff in. So 10 Newton force. Oh, we're on 4 minutes in. Cool. 10 Newton force is applied to push a block across a frictional surface at a constant speed for a displacement of 5. So let's put our displacements in. 5, 5, 5, 5. Let's put our force in. Normal force is 20. Force applied is 10. Force of friction is 10. And force of gravity is 20. So you should have 20, 10, 20, 10, right? Now, which direction is it going? It's going to the right, which means that is our 0 degrees. That's our 180, 90, negative 90. So our normal force is 90. Our force applied is 0. Cosine is 0. Our force of gravity is negative 90. Wrote that backwards. And then our force of friction is 180. All right, so math that up. So we're going to get 0 on this. And we're going to get 50. And then we're going to get 0 again. And then this is the force of friction, and it's going to the right, so that should be negative. So that will be negative 50. Cool. So our total net force on this is going to be 0. Or net work, I'm sorry, excuse me. All right, so let's do this last one. And then we'll do the next page on another video. 2 kilogram object is at constant speed across a frictional surface for a displacement of 5. So I'm going to put my 5 and my 5. Okay, so we have our force. They give us 20 and 20, 20, 20. So our cosine, 90, negative 90. And the total work done, 0, 0, 0. So the reason there's no work done is because there's nothing applying a force, right? It's just sliding. It's completely frictionless. So let's just assume it's in space or it's just on a frictionless surface. So there you go. That's this page. Remember, the things to take away from this, the direction it's going is going to be that 0 degrees, and that's going to be a positive work. The opposite direction that's going, if a force is applied to that, or a force, I shouldn't say applied, but dragging it, we'll say, will be a negative work done, and that'll be 180. So it could change. So if you have one where, you know, the force is upward, and then maybe the force of gravity is downward, well, the upward force applied is going to be 0 degrees, and then the downward force in that case will be 180. So keep that in mind. All right, good deal. Let me know if you guys got any questions.